Everybody, hello, hello, hello. And we are back with another episode of The Big Three. Factory fakes and political snakes. We got some guests already here, friends checking in. What's up, Citizen Morgan? Glad that you are with us. For everyone who is out there watching, you're all over the place, different places. This is where we want you to be. We want you to be on any one of our YouTube platforms. You can follow, you can watch me, the Zactivist, Brian on his channel, Mentally Divine, or Kenny on his channel, Too Raw, Too Real. Each of us, we're trying really hard to build up our YouTube because YouTube is a platform that pays. All three of us are monetized on YouTube. And we all receive income from YouTube that supports the work that we do as content creators. It's not a lot of money, it's very little money, a very minuscule amount of money, almost no money at all, but it's something. It's significantly more and better than what we're receiving from Elon Musk's app, Twitter. The only reason we are streaming right now to Twitter is because it lets you know that we're live. The Twitter feed will end abruptly for those of you who are watching, the 9 of you on my channel who are currently watching on the Twitter, which is good. Thank you so much for those who have switched over to the YouTube. Continue to follow, continue to come, and continue to head to the YouTube. We got a great show for you tonight, I think. And it's a lot to talk about. It's going to be interesting, people. Y'all
I'm
ready?
excited. I'm excited. I'm ready. Let's go.
Right, look, let me tell you something, y'all. Everybody who's watching, right off the bat, today was an interesting revelation from one of our DNC co-chair, vice presidents, co-chairs, vice president, who is saying, and it's not no, yeah, Twitter doesn't ever allow comments for people like us because you know who they're trying to platform and who they want to support and allow to grow. This is David Hogg, a young Democratic activist and strategist, and who is a prolific fundraiser for his nonprofit, and a Generation Z voice for gun control, gun reform, and ensuring that Americans are protected. He came out today with an article that was released by the New York Times, and it was kind of recycled with Politico, Newsweek, ABC News. Those are the four, and Washington Post. Those are the four articles that I was able to read to prepare for tonight's show, where he's basically saying that his nonprofit organization is going to invest money in unseating Democrats that they feel are not fighting. Democrats not in swing districts, but in safe districts who they feel are not fighting for the American people. It's caused a flurry of controversy online from a number of Democrats who've spoken out, and I want to open the floor to the gentleman to see what do you think about David Hogg and this new stance.
Go ahead, Brian, and then I'll chime in.
So I think for me, I'm comfortable being the oddball as I usually am. I say I don't have a problem with this. I think a lot of people have a problem with this. They originally saw this and immediately jumped to they chased the pop. That's a wrestling term that just basically means, the first wave of emotion came, and that's what they ended up chasing. And I think a lot of people who negatively reacted to this upon hearing this news up first, they saw it and already had a confirmation. We're looking for confirmation bias. People already did not like David Hogg, and those were the people who I saw jump up and say, oh, this is the worst thing in the world and all this stuff. Here's my point to this. He's saying he wants to use his own money, not even DNC money, because I also saw that. People were like, oh, well, I don't support people using the DNC resources that I've put money into. He's not using DNC resources. He's using resources from his own nonprofit organization to be able to primary candidates that he doesn't think are doing the work. Now, let me remind us weeks ago when we saw people like the 10 Democrats that voted to censure Al Green and how mad we were. We saw 2 weeks after that when we had another 10 Democrats that stood against what they said they were going to do in the Senate and decided to vote with Chuck Schumer, who broke fucking ranks after he lied to us and told us that he was going to stand against and use the filibuster to stop this legislation from going through as it related to the budget package that ended up being for the Republicans and leave the stopgap funding that left the government open and made it so that Republicans got the victory lap. Those people, when we were talking about them, we basically said, what the fuck is going on with the Democrat Party? And I remember specifically, Kenny made the point and he was like, well, let's be very clear. It's not all the Democrats. And I was like, no. We made the clear distinction. It's not our favorite elected leaders. It's the Democrat political apparatus that hasn't supported what we're saying. And what we're saying is the people are not doing the fucking work. The people who weren't doing the work. And if we didn't have a political apparatus that was going to sit down with these people and say, your time is gone. Your time is done. The old guard establishment era politics and playbook, we got to throw that shit out the fucking window. And when we made that argument, we said, where is the political apparatus? Is it Ken Martin? I specifically asked that question. And now we know that it's David Hogg coming in, and it looks as him using his own money, millions of dollars, $20 million that he said he has in the bank, to be able to primary candidates that are not doing the work. I like this. Why are we shying away from giving people options? And it's not like he's saying he's going to go against the general election. If he were coming out as somebody who was the vice chair and said, in the general election, I'm voting against Democrats, and I'm going to make sure if Democrats don't win, I'd have a problem with that. But he's coming out and he's saying, I want to make the party stronger. I want to give people options. Why is it that somebody who gets elected and then stays in the role for 50 years gets to stay there unchallenged as an incumbent and has all this power and doesn't do anything? I don't think that's a good idea. I think we use more funds. I think we look for people who have better ideas and we see what they come up with and let the people choose. You're muted.
Hold on, your mic is muted.
Yeah, Brian, I think that the question at the end is a great false equivalency, in my opinion, and is a way of kind of like taking the heat off of David Hogg and what he's doing. Because I don't think anybody would say that an ineffective elected leader, Democrat or otherwise, should stay in office. I hate to say this, but I definitely would think that a Democratic elected leader who may be in ill health, especially at a certain age, should still stay in office. Definitely not. This is the problem that I have with it. And after I say this, I'm going to honor some comments that were brought in. This is a great idea for someone to do. This is a great idea for any number of other political action committees to undertake. But the fact that David Hogg is an elected leader of the Democratic Party makes it extremely problematic and highly unethical, in my opinion. The fact that David Hogg, who is an elected leader of the Democratic Party, is now using his platform to tear down other Democrats, whether they are effective or not, goes beyond the scope of what he should be even allowed to do. In my opinion, and this goes back to how there were members of the Democratic Party working behind the scenes to sabotage Biden Harris, to get Joe to drop out, and then put in whoever they thought they wanted it to be, because they felt as though they had the privilege, that they had the right to have such a say in American politics and the Democratic Party. This, to me, is David Hogg being the David Hogg he's always been: young, self-centered, and selfish, exceptionally privileged, and way overstepping any level of authority that has been invested in him by the people. That's my opinion on him and doing it. Again, not a problem with someone doing it, but it most certainly, in my opinion, should not be David Hogg. Because we have Nikki here, who is an elected leader of the Florida Democratic Party, and she has some really good points to add, and I want to make sure we honor those. Is that one? If these people had better ideas or people would choose them, he's trying to bankroll over incumbents, and it's not going to work. Earlier, Nikki also had noted and said that she was afraid that he's going to primary Black people, Black candidates. I absolutely agree with you and think that he does. David Hogg is known for being anti-Black in some of his rhetoric, and I think that he's tried to tone it down, but it's come out loud and clear. Therefore, that is my number one reason why I will never like him. I will never support him and his progressive ilk. The same thing Nikki also said, he absolutely is using DNC resources, his title efforts. The platform he's taken gives him access to a new donor base who will think they are giving to the DNC. His DNC vice chair is the face of this initiative. It's nasty work.
All right, so here's my opinion on the situation. I'm in between. I like the points that you brought up when it comes to it being possibly unethical, being the fact that he's an elected leader doing this. However, I do agree on certain aspects of what Brian was saying, that some people who have just been sitting there, just holding a seat warm, do need to be primaried. When we're sitting here looking at 10 Democrats in the Senate that voted for the continuance resolution, I believe that they went against the people's best interest by voting for that continuous resolution. And I believe that some of those people need to have their feet to the fire, meaning if you're not representing your constituency, the people that you say that you care about, you say you care about Medicaid, you say you care about veterans, you say you care about Social Security, you say you care about people having access to their SNAP benefits, their Medicaid. If you say you care about those things, why would you vote for something that's not in the best interest of your constituents? So I do believe that we should be holding Democrats accountable. We need to be vetting them a little bit more. I don't want to see another situation where we have a John Fetterman in office. I don't want to have to deal with that for 6 years because we can't get rid of him. I don't want somebody who's going to hold us hostage when we could have been able to actually pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin not wanting to gut and not want to carve out the filibuster so that we can get that legislation passed. Those are the things that piss me off when it comes to this whole entire conversation. And what we're looking at, I see where he's coming from. However, is it ethical for him to do it? Maybe not so. And the other aspect of it, and I was having this conversation with Brian earlier, that I also am concerned because this happened back with the Justice Democrats, where they tried to primary Hakeem Jeffries. They were trying to get him out before he became the minority leader. They also tried to get rid of Shontel Brown after she had won the special election against Nina Turner, where they continued to support Nina Turner to run against Shontel Brown, even though she had already taken that seat. So I see that there is going to be possibly an attempt. I'm concerned about the possible attempt that they might try to target all Black elected leaders. But I do agree with David Hodge. I do believe that we should be holding a lot of these people's feet to the fire, and we do need a robust primary because a lot of people have gotten complacent and too damn comfortable to where they're forgetting about the people who put them in office. So I see the idea. I like the idea. Is it ethical for him to do it? I'm not so sure. However, I like the idea. I think it's time that some people finally get, let's say, just say hog-tied. How about that?
But Kenny, here's the thing. Here's a question though. Here's a question because I know that and this is maybe a different way of looking at it, right? And I agree that it's appropriate for people to get primary. People have to win elections. The people deserve a choice. But what damage will it do through the primary process to the incumbent who has a safe seat? This is a safe seat. He's not saying he's going to use the funds to go after battleground seats and battleground Democrats. He's saying he's going to go after true blue Democrats who have toed the line, done the work of the party, stayed the course. He's not going after Mr. Turncoat in Maine. He's not going after that motherfucker. Okay, looking like Oil Can Ollie. He ain't going after Oil Can Ollie.
I think that would be worse.
He's going to be going after. Well, it's that he couldn't. These candidates can't go progressive. They can't go leftist in a rural Maine district. He's not able to further his.
Which is smart.
Further his additional goals that go beyond DNC chair because he has a whole nother agenda. He is using the Democratic chair's position to further his own personal political agendas and support his own personal political beliefs, which is.
Do you think they're trying to hijack the party? Is what you're thinking?
Exactly. The Democratic Party is under attack from two different sides. You got the Never Trumper Republicans who are taking over rapidly, and then you have the leftists who are also trying to encroach and take over. And I'm not saying either. That's just how it works. That's just the nature of Big Tent politics. But what I'm saying is that when you have these people going up in primaries and they're being challenged, what will be the damage to that safe incumbent? And how is that going to disenfranchise the losers? So let's say that I'm in let's say I'm gonna just put it out there, David Scott in Georgia. If he chooses to run again, he may want to come after Hank Johnson, my new congressman. Is being honest and keeping a buck because of their age and because they're not as vocal as some other Democrats. Two Black men who have sat in Congress, who have seniority on their committees. And so now David Hogg is going to challenge them, put someone up against them, and they're going to be dragged in hard primaries because their now challenger will have funding to do so. So then if I'm supporting Hank Johnson and Hank loses, I'm not going to turn around and say, let me just support the Democrat because that's not how I operate. I'm passionate. I believe in my people. So you finna lose a vote. And I know other people feel the same way. In addition to that, what power is that going to give the Republican who may not even have a challenger, who won't have to worry about a primary? All they have to worry about is winning an election in November.
But the problem is that I don't know what the problem is in having a primary. The reality is, for me, the way I see it is the primary actually makes it stronger in the general. When you have a primary election, you're putting up candidates that people have the opportunity to say whether or not okay, who am I voting for? A lot of times, because somebody has been in the seat for so long, doesn't mean that they're the best in the seat. That just means that they have the incumbency. The power of the incumbency allows you to have name recognition, allows you to grow money, allows you to connect with investors, allows you to connect with donors. That makes it harder for you to then get unseated. And so I think for me, the thing is, if the person is a good candidate that is the incumbent and has been doing the work, the constituents are going to vote for that person. Great. Let that person run again. I mean, and win. If the person is being primaried and they lose, okay, well, they lost. I mean, that's how a democracy works. People come together and to say whether or not they want to choose the person that they're going to support, the ideas that they're going to support. Oftentimes, a lot of things don't change because we stay with the same, people in power, and they just go and toe the line. I don't necessarily think in this moment, particularly this moment, shows me that towing the line isn't the best argument for wanting to do the things the same. So I think the reality is, I support having, and the question, because I got cut out when you were making your point earlier, but what I did catch was that first part where you were saying that is it ethical? And my thing is, it's ethical for somebody who is an elected leader in the party to be able to have conversations, but also say, okay, well, let's make it more robust. This is the entire conversation about DEI. The reason why DEI policies exist as an example is because you unrig systems and policies in hiring and getting people into universities. When you're talking about legacy and nepotism hires and things like that, you're moving away from that. We're saying, let's make it so that it's more competitive. When we have more competition and we have a more robust pool of people to choose from, more ideas get to flourish, more ideas get to be chosen from. So I think for me personally, this is a good thing. This only makes us stronger as a party. And I think a lot of people who are seeing this as a negative aren't accustomed to seeing a lot of things change. But I remember when we've had this conversation, Zach, you and I've had this conversation. You know, if progressives want to get to be able to do the work, if they want to be able to get their message out there, they're going to have to do the work and coalesce and organize. Well, this is what it looks like. Them getting and saying, here are different candidates, here are different pools of people. Let's battle test them and their ideas and make a referendum of these ideas in different places across the country, which again are in safe areas. I think it would be worse of a problem if he went in areas where it were swing states, where it were swing districts, because now you're really putting us in jeopardy. If it's a deep blue area and it's a safe thing, it's going to be for a Democrat no matter what. We're just saying, what ideas are going to flourish? Can we have somebody new? Can we have somebody younger? Can we have somebody bolder? And I don't think there's a problem with that. Isaiah Martin's a great example of that. I would love to see Isaiah Martin get some of that $20 million. I would love to see Kat get part of that $20 million. I would love to see some of these people that are coming in. My only critique was, and Kenny, I'm going to throw to you because you have something to say. My only critique was when he said he wasn't going to touch Nancy Pelosi. And I've had this conversation with Kenny off screen. My critique, some equal opportunity. I think this is a good idea, but why are we keeping Nancy Pelosi off there? I think Nancy Pelosi should also be on that list that gets the primary challengers to get some money. Chakrabarti. I don't know how to say the state's name.
Kat is going to get money. She's also on the list. Kat's incumbent, the person she's running against in Illinois, is going to be protected also by David.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, but I'm saying what I would love to see. But I'm loving to see that. So again, my only question was, why not Nancy Pelosi? And my mentality, and I had this conversation with Kenny, I said maybe for him, because in the article it says the reason why he doesn't want to touch Nancy Pelosi is because he thinks Nancy Pelosi's a fighter. Now, is it that he looked at the hindsight and saw the election results and saw that we were going to have a 400 electoral loss if we didn't allow Kamala Harris to be the nominee after Biden's debate? Was it that? Is that, and maybe in his mind, he looks at her and what she did and trying to get Biden out which made the way for then Kamala Harris to get it so that we don't lose a 400 electoral loss. Maybe he looks at her as a fighter because of that. I don't know. I can only infer based on what I saw in the Politico. But what I'm saying is, that's the only part I critiqued. I don't think she should be safe from that money being, funneled into a primary challenger, because I think she should go too. Be honest with you. And we've had this conversation. So I love, again, the nuance that we have. And I think a lot of people jumped immediately, like I saw it online, jumped immediately negative. And I'm like, but there's nuance to this. The same thing happened when the first story hit about David Hogg and how everything was so negative. Oh my God, he's just a progressive. He's just trying to end the party. And then I came out with my video and I said, well, but here's the nuance and here's what's going on. And people were like, oh, okay, my bad. But I still don't like them though. And they just waited on the wings until something else happened so they can
No.
jump in there for their confirmation
Every
bias. And I'm
time
just
he
like, that's
turns
not
around
fair.
and thumb my ass in there and bop his motherfucking ass.
You said what? You
I
said
will,
what?
I will never miss a chance to bop the fuck out of David Hogg.
I
Don't
Yeah.
was
like,
waiting for him to miss. So
don't
just
like
miss.
you can't stand him.
Yeah, and I can understand that, but my thing is, if that's going to be if that's the argument, then that's fine. That's a different thing than this is inherently a bad thing. I think this is a great thing for our party. And
But
by the
so-
way, I'm gonna be
Confirmation
honest with you.
bias.
I'm gonna
But
say
Brian,
this.
Kenny's been waiting forever.
Oh,
No, I'm
go.
just saying that's confirmation bias. But I mean, to your point, but even with that, as an elected official and somebody who's vice chair, I'm just concerned with that ethics part because I didn't even think about it like this. Is he going to be playing favorites when it comes to other candidates? Like who will be getting, platformed? Who will be doing? That's the thing that's concerning. I like the idea if it was from somebody who's not necessarily. I like an independent source. Like we have independent investigations. Like I like shit like that. I just don't want there to be a confirmation bias. That's the only thing I don't want. I don't want somebody playing favorites to certain candidates. Also, the other thing, and we talked about this, Brian, with with Justice Democrats, they were going heavily at Black elected leaders, and that is a concern specifically for me. But also, on the other hand, to your point, that's why I said there's so much nuance here. Don't we
Yeah.
love nuance, you guys? We love conversation.
To me, it's not nuanced. To me,
Oh no,
it's
it is because I'm about to bring it up. So
Yeah.
they
Break it
did.
down.
Now, Justice Democrats,
Let me
they
sit
put
up.
up
Let me
they
sit
put up
with
two
this
people of
debate.
color. They put up two people of color now.
Two
They
black
had
people.
their Jamal Bowmans and they had their Cory Bushes. Now, as much as them being incumbents, we saw what happened.
Let me get my Cheetos.
Wesley Bell
Let me get
took
my
out
Cheetos.
Cory Bush and she's not in Congress anymore. So
Yes.
it just depends. The people at the end of the day, the people will have the voice. The people will actually be making the true decisions about who will be elected and who's not. However, I'm concerned about the platforming. When people have a lot of money, especially when it comes to these Justice Democrats, they can raise a lot of independent money that historically regular Black candidates who don't have access or a lot of white following just can't. But we rely on PACs like the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. We rely on all these other donors coming from high corporate places because we just historically don't have that. We have the people who back us, but most of the people who back us are low income. They don't have the ability to give $5, $20 here. So those are my only true concern.
But the reason why they make a lot of that's the reason why they can get a lot of independent donations and small dollar donations is because their ideas resonate with those people. And the thing is, the argument about Cory Bush or Jamal Bowman, like them or not, they're not people of color. They're black people. Let's be clear. They're black people that were also run by the Justice Dems. And so the argument that they made was, no, this argument that we're only that Justice Dems were only attacking black leaders was not true because they also ran black leaders, but they also ran leaders that happened to be of other backgrounds that just had progressive ideas. It was the ideas that they were putting forth. Now, Cory Bush and Jamal Bowman fucking lost. Jamal Bowman fucking pulled that motherfucking fire alarm, and they were just. I mean, look. I mean, let's be clear.
They voted against the infrastructure bill.
They voted against the voter infrastructure, and what happened? When they ran again, they lost. That's how a democracy works. Bitch, just because you have progressive ideas doesn't mean I'm gonna fucking support you. And that's the key. That's the key to all of this. That it doesn't matter that you just have the right ideas. Great example, and I've talked about this with Zach offline. And I talked with Kenny Mamdani from New York. I posted a tweet, and I'm unashamed to say I posted a tweet and I said, look, if I was a New York resident, I'd support Mamdani because of his ideas. And then there were people in the comment section that said, but no, he actually supported the uncommitted movement. And I was like, you know what? I looked at the record and I saw that he not only supported the uncommitted movement, but he also in the general election supported the fucking uncommitted movement. And that was my problem. I took that tweet down in support. Because I was like, look, he's the right messenger. He has the right message, but the wrong messenger. And that's the difference. I can look down the line and say, oh, I like your policies, but bitch, if you're not doing it right, I'm equal opportunity over here. I don't have to support you. I don't have to support you just because you have the right policies in my book. I don't have to support you because you represent anything. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Are you an effective leader? Do you have the ideas? Do you have the policies? Do you resonate with the large amount of people? Do you have the vision? Can you raise the smaller dollar donations? That's what the fucking name of the game is. I want to win elections and I want to have policies that when implemented affect positively the most amount of people in this country. That's the reality. That's
But
what it
will
comes
those
down
things
to.
get swept under the rug? So we talk about holding people accountable for their actions and stuff like that. But I remember when John Fetterman was ran as one of these progressives, they swept a lot of shit under the rug when he went and chased after an
But was
unarmed
he?
black
Did he
man.
run? Did he run as a leftist? I
He
don't think he ran
did.
as a leftist. He
And
ran.
that's
He
He
he,
did.
he ran. He ran.
He
He ran as
did.
an anti-Trumper that told it like it was and wore basketball shorts and looked like the average person. That was the
No,
problem.
he ran as a leftist. Leftists loved Fetterman. They were trying to get rid of. I can't even think of his name. I wish Tiff was in the Tiff was in the
Lamb.
chat.
It was
Yep,
Connor Lamb.
It
Connor
should have been
Lamb.
Connor Lamb.
Who
It
was
should have been Connor
Connor
Lamb.
Lamb was a moderate, very staunch moderate at
But
that.
out of those two candidates, this is what I'm saying. Out of those, I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember him being run as a leftist. To be honest with you, I remember there was a lot of black people that were mad as fuck that he chased that black kid with the hoodie down the street with the fucking gun. I remember that part. I remember when people didn't listen because again, he ran as an anti-Trumper who's a fucking common man who dressed how he dressed. I remember that. Now, here's what I will also say. It shouldn't have been him just because of anything. Like, it shouldn't have been him. But we have to be able to clearly call that
Who
out.
are we gonna vet these people? How? This is the part I want to know about.
It's not, but Kenny, I like that point. I like what you just said because you basically just said it. And you said the question as it relates to ethical, who is he going to support? Here's what I love about all of this. He's telling you exactly what it is up front. He's not behind the scenes using $20 million to support candidates. He's coming out and telling you, is he going to probably support the progressive candidate? Yeah, because that's what he espouses. That's what he cares about. Those are the ideologies that he cares about. But that's on his own dime, on his own side. It's not that he's using DNC money to do that. So when he's coming to you and telling you, this is what I'm going to do, and putting this ahead of time before somebody leaks it, he's telling you exactly what it is. So if he does support the progressive candidate, he may. But we know that that's what's happening. He's coming to you and telling you to your face. It's not like he's lying. I mean, Zach, is that a lie? Do we not want people to tell us to our face?
The reason, let me tell you, and it's so unfortunate because my beliefs are exceptionally progressive and it's exceptionally progressive. But it is the people who are on the far left side, and it's the shit they do that makes me absolutely disgusted with the entire leftist movement. Disgusted. You can undo. You can sit here all day and defend David Hogg like this little white man is going to do the right thing. When I know you may not, but I'm gonna tell you, I have no doubt in my mind that this man is going to do things that are detrimental to safe black candidates in the name of his progressive agenda. And there is nothing that will change that mind that I have other than the actions that he will do. He has to do the opposite of it. And so we're going to look and watch. And the thing that Kenny, you or anyone else will have a chance to vet anything that David Hogg and his ilk will do is unfortunately delusional. They will do what they want to do, what they've always done, what they've always been privileged to do, because that is how America works.
So who chooses the candidate? The corporate donations?
It's not that, well, obviously the people with the most donations always make they always make the decisions. But however,
Right.
I'll say this. It doesn't matter how much money Justice Democrats put behind a candidate, because I remember a candidate who literally had 1/3 of the amount of money that was raised for her race, and she whooped that ass twice. And that lady's name was Chantel Brown. It didn't matter how much money Nina had. She whooped that ass and snatched them edges, honey. She did what she needed to do, and thank God for it. Okay?
Exactly.
And to be fair, on the other end, Congresswoman Summer Lee did the exact same thing as a progressive candidate fighting against the AIPAC money. So it is really always going to come down to the candidate. And I do believe that every candidate should fight for their seat. I believe that. My argument here is that it should not be David Hogg as an elected member of the DNC leadership. That's my argument. We do want to thank John Good here. And John, I'm not responding to that. I said what I said. You heard what I said. It is what I said. That's how it works.
Shout out to Dobie H.
Right. And we definitely appreciate the $7 in the super chats. That is a nice way of keeping us going. I'm doing something with the super chat money. I forgot what it was, but I'll be reminded next week. Now here it is. As we move on, that was a great start, and I know it was a great start. And it's something that I knew we wouldn't agree on that would get the blood pumping. This might be something that we do agree on, and it is the continuous shift in, unfortunately, the American economy that might be good for some American consumers.
Looking increasingly like the goal for the U.S. is to reorient global trade away from China. Trump recently paused tariffs that he had placed on other countries for 90 days, but upped the tariffs on China.
They told him, if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate.
Well, earlier this year, when tariffs were at around 20%, Chinese manufacturers had agreed to give some price cuts in some cases to their U.S. buyers. So in that case, if they reduce the price of their goods, that reduces the burden of the cost of extra tariffs from the importer side. But at this point, as I've been talking to Chinese manufacturers along with my colleagues, there is no more room to cut prices. It is truly prohibitive at this point to conduct trade between the U.S. and China. Many of the companies that are making goods in other countries are actually Chinese companies. And so if we do intend to have a decoupling between the U.S. and China, this would have massive implications for the entire
China. Factories like this kind, labor intensive, or rather worker intensive, are very rare to see now. Because one, the human resource cost is getting higher and higher. Two, many enterprises are switching to automated production line. But why we are still keeping such a big force of workers? Because first, our profit margin is very good, actually. So we are able to support them. And second, our factories all have 20 to 30 years experiences. The bags made by their hands are of better quality than those made in machinery. That is why. So if you are interested in bags, contact me. You will love the quality and you will love the price.
The company is making more than 2 million hats a year, and 40% of them are going to the U.S.
Ace Headwear is trying to keep up with both demand and this week's seismic change to global trade. The factory sews, embroiders, and finishes hats for well-known brands sold in the U.S. like Wilson and Fila.
This is for USA market, see.
And has licenses for the sort of Major League sports gear that Americans buy or wear every day. But now that President Trump has slapped at least 54% tariffs on all goods made in China, Ace owner Jeffy Ma says he can't absorb the costs.
As I told you, manufacturing profit is very low. Even in China, very low. So we cannot afford those tax.
It means those tariffs will show up as higher prices for his American buyers.
So anyone who buys a baseball hat, a trucker hat, a fishing hat, anything.
Yeah, anything. I think all of us in the supply chain, from the brand to the manufacturer in the supply chain, I think all of us are influenced, are affected.
The Ace Headwear strategy: sell more to China and other markets in Asia as the costs of doing business with the U.S. and the States go higher.
Wow.
Gentlemen, this isn't turning out to be like President Trump thought.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact,
Remember, he had
report.
concepts of an idea, concepts of plans.
Look, there was a new report that came out today that said that Trump claimed that these tariffs were going to cause a $2 billion per day surplus in our money for revenue in the tariffs. And so far, as of right now, they've only gotten $500 million is what it was. And on top of that, the corporations and the small businesses have been hurting the most. As a matter of fact, there were some small businesses that had to cut staffs because the tariffs were too high, and some people weren't even getting their bonuses. So the reality is that this is hurting the economy still. We see the stock market still going down. We see that the economy is not getting better. prices are going to get higher. And I love that these videos are there because it talks about how, you know, a lot of these Chinese companies are now starting to talk about what the real behind the scenes thing is in terms of the manufacturing, and how these big corporations come over here for cheap labor, and how they actually come over here because they do it better than us. I don't know. These days I'm feeling pro-China in terms of economically, because I still don't fuck with what they do to their people. But I don't know. What did y'all think about, because these tariffs, I think a lot of people are stopping to talk about these tariffs, especially because there's so much going on in the news. The news cycle is moving so fast. What did y'all think?
I mean, I'm not sure to talk about it or not, because he keeps changing his mind on tariffs.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily know which direction he's gonna go. Like right now, he's like a kid in a candy store with a chainsaw, just chopping everything up. So I can't really base it off of that. All I do know is that all of this was warned. He told us about tariffs. He told us that it was going to happen. There was so many economists that came out and said that he would be disastrous for our economy, but people didn't want to listen. So it's not, you know, this isn't news to us, honestly. This isn't breaking news, if you will. We knew this was going to happen. We just didn't know it was going to happen this soon. All I know is I'm gonna have to start getting me a sewing kit, and I'm gonna start making my own damn underwear at this damn point, because I can't afford it. Okay, I'm gonna be walking here holy ass draws.
But that's
Unless
what
I learned how to sew my own shit. Okay, it's gonna be a sweatshop at my house. I'm gonna be doing it. Okay.
Yeah, and just listen. I did. So I was making sure that the Twitter stream had been cut, and like the dumbass, I cut the YouTube stream. I cut my YouTube stream. The Twitter stream was gone, but I also, that's what I'm like, yeah, I am still, I had to reconnect it real quick. I'm sorry.
Wait, so we're still streaming on all the platforms?
Everyone else is streaming. It was me. I cut my own
Okay.
YouTube off by accident, trying to cut off my Twitter.
Well, Zach, let me ask you this. Can I ask you this? 154%, 145% tariff, and then they came back with 125% tariff, and they just keep going up. Zach, what do you think?
I love it. I loved everything about it. I loved all weekend, people. All weekend, I was on to the TikTok, and I saw the people talking about you can get your designer bags, your Nike shoes, your Tide Pods from us directly on the TikTok shop. Do you hear me? They are selling the actual Birkin bags on the TikTok shop. They just don't have the Birkin logo. They're selling Tide Pods. 25 Tide Pods for $1 on the TikTok shop. I went down a rabbit hole of designer men's backpacks, leather bags. The leather comes from Nigeria. It's treated with like some special like Nigerian leather treatment, and gets sent over to China. They use that leather to produce the Birkins and to produce the Gucci bag, all the bags. And then China takes this leather bag, $200, sell it to Gucci. Gucci glues on the Gucci logo, and now it's like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. They're selling these things on the TikTok shop. I bought a really nice vegan leather PETA. Vegan, I don't give a fuck about PETA, nor do I care about cows. But it was just so happens that I like the way it looked. So I got a vegan leather backpack, it's a backpack, but it's also a briefcase. I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. I'll be having it with me when I travel to DC to see you gentlemen next month.
Okay.
Right, you better bring that bag, okay? All right now.
Well, but you know what? I will also say, how can you blame people? How can you blame people for going to the TikTok shop when it's $1 for 25 pods? How can you blame people for going on? And you know what? Look, America's doing it to its motherfucking self. And a lot of people in the comment section saying, don't let me download TikTok. How can I blame you when the economy here is getting worse? How can I blame you when you go to the fucking grocery store and you spend for a week of groceries more than $150, and people are living paycheck to overdraft, robbing Peter to pay Paul? That's what Kenny and I was talking about. Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
But listen, and I want to say, because there are people out there who are, you always thought about what can I do around my content? Let me tell you that this is what America needs from a content creator. And it can't be me, because I don't have children to feed. But if I had children to feed, there's no way. And because I literally let it be no secret. I'm an excellent cook. I think especially someone on this who can attest that Zachary Kirk can cook because they be
Zachary Kirk can motherfucking cook, bitch. It is what it is.
And I hate to clean up after it, so I don't do it. I don't cook maybe 4 times a whole year. 4 times a year will I get in the kitchen and cook a meal. So I eat out. But I went to the store to get some syrup to eat with the breakfast that I bought when I was out. The syrup that I get used to be $5.99, and that was a lot for syrup because other brands were like $3.49. The syrup that I always get was $10.99. It went from $4.99 to $10.99 within a span of maybe 2 months max, maybe 3. The American people needs a content creator, an influencer who is doing steals and deals for shopping. Like, where are you going to get the best of everything at the lowest price? That is desperately needed. And it's a whole open field and a whole open market for someone who actually shops. So whoever you are on this live, you're out there, please do it. We'll figure out a way to help you learn how to create the content. But if you have a knack for really helping people save money at the grocery store, it's needed, and it's only going to be needed more as the days go on. I will post the syrup. I will post I took a picture of it. I couldn't believe it. It's a maple syrup. I will post a picture.
Now look, I'll say
country yard syrup.
It's good. It's really good syrup.
Miss Butterworth.
No. The only syrup I do is that Pearl Milling Company, formerly Aunt Jemima. That's what I grew up on Aunt Jemima.
That was $5.99. That was $5.99.
That's what I'm saying. These prices are crazy, and you talk about raising a family and buying shit for family.
I was just getting Aunt Jemima, but I was like, it's not the same.
Yeah, feeding your damn self, family, household one, is fucking crazy for these days. Like, people, like, let's not even go that crazy. It's feeding your damn self. People are going to the dollar store. Dollar Tree is now raising the stock for Dollar Tree is going up. When the stock for Dollar Tree and Dollar General goes up, there's some fucking problems. So, look, people are going to go to the TikTok shop. China's going to make a lot of money off of this shit because, they get a cut. I don't know if people want to say it, but they're going to get a cut. And I was going to say something else, but that's the syrup right there.
Yes, Maple Gold. It was, my bad, $10.09.
But it was still it's $10.
But when you add taxes.
But people are going to the grocery store. Oh my God.
I don't know. But things are so expensive under Biden, though.
Yeah, right. Let's not even go there. Don't even go there. Somebody said,
I can't afford eggs. I have to split my cheese. I have to count my cheese for my children. Where is that lady at? I haven't seen her in such a long time. That TikTok lady who talked about how she had to count cheese for her children. She had to count the slices. Okay, she was literally, it was that bad. I haven't heard from that lady. I haven't seen that lady. I want to update. We need to follow up. I want to know how she feels about the price of cheese and the price of eggs and the price of good. I want to hear from this lady. Where are you at, ma'am? We're looking for
you. Like G. Martinez Max said, people, boom. It was never about the eggs, which we know. Right. But I'm thankful that China is fighting for the people. They're fighting for us. Now they're losing money. You know what I'm saying? So they fighting for their money. But have y'all seen these? The different. I took the sound out because I didn't want us to get banned. The different people who are out here making these the different videos about Trump and on AI. Have y'all seen these AI Trumps?
Yes, and I also seen the AI JD Vance where they put him in some eyeliner and some makeup, and I love that shit. I would also say I've seen the videos of the Chinese people that are coming out and teaching people how to go avoid the tariffs. They say, come to China, buy the stuff in China, and then claim them as personal products when you're going back through TSA, and you don't have to pay the tariffs, and it'll be cheaper. The iPhone's $2,300 with these tariffs. And a lot of these, so before the tariffs even actually went into place, there was a shipment of iPhones that came into the United States. And a lot of people were running to the stores to buy the newest iPhone because they were afraid that the tariff prices were going to make it too fucking expensive. I mean, this is what's going on. And so, a lot of people, are going to be fucking impacted. I don't give a fuck what the news cycle says. The news cycle has moved on, and people haven't talked about this. But make no mistake, they're still coming for your Social Security, your education benefits, your food stamps, your Medicare, your Medicaid, and you paying more because of the tariffs.
And you paying more because of the tariffs.
I'm glad you brought up that Social Security thing. I'm about to post a video about that. I was talking to you earlier about this. So anybody who actually has Social Security, and this is something that's affecting me personally because this is happening to my stepmom. You know, she's on disability. If they've ever given you an overpayment under Biden, they only required you to pay 10% if they overpaid you. You were only required to pay 10%. Now, Trump has revised that policy to where now you have to pay 100%. Meaning if like let's say if you have an overpayment and stuff like that and you owe $2,000, $4,000, they're going to take your entire Social Security or your disability check entirely until the amount is paid. So some people may not ever get their check.
So
and some people, like we said, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're behind.
Who have already been overpaid. Let's say they were overpaid 2 years ago. They're being affected, or is people who are being overpaid in the current moment?
No, my stepmom, they overpaid her last year, right?
In 2024.
In 2024.
While Biden
while Biden was president. Normally every year, if there was an overpayment or something like that, you are only required to pay a certain amount. Joe Biden said 10%.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay all of it. So let's say if she owed $4,000, 10% of that's like what, $40? 400?
Right.
400. So that's easy. She might be able to come up with that $400 right then and there, pay it so that way she can get the rest of her check. So now, let's say if she owes $4,000, they're going to take that. And if she's only getting $1,500 a month out of that, that means she's going to be missing about 3 checks.
Right. Until that 4,000 balance is closed.
Until that 4,000 balance is closed.
That's
if
crazy.
you are on a fixed income or have a disability, and it's already hard for you to make ends meet already, this is going to disproportionately impact you. And I didn't know that this went effect on the 27th of March. Where did this slide up under the rails? I don't fucking know. But I literally just looked this up.
Yeah. Well, we got to look into that a little more because there's so many people that, like Kenny, like you're saying, there's a lot of people that are going to be impacted by that disproportionately. And somebody in the comment section said, disproportionately, you miss one check, you're dead. There's some people that are
you're literally unable to pay for your food, pay for your
education. And this is not, this isn't like they did this. Like somebody said in the comments, this is their error. They're the ones who's overpaid it. But because of DOJ or Dodge, whatever you want to call it, that fake damn
Doge. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doge, they're over here pulling away from people who desperately need this money who are on a fixed income. And people with disabilities, people on Social Security, people who are literally the most vulnerable among us, and they are literally taking these people's checks away from them.
But the Congressional Black Caucus has this whole entire week. They're focused on Social Security and trying to figure out what to do. Like they're literally right now focused in a deep retreat while Congress is on a break, figuring out what to do about this and how to really get the American people to understand what's really at stake, because they feel as though even right now people don't get how dire the situation is and how many people are going to suffer, and some lose everything.
And but y'all remember, both of y'all, don't call nobody. They said don't call them. They said if you call, you're a fraudster, because anybody who calls to complain is faking, is a fraudster, and is trying to defraud the federal government. So don't call them.
But here's the thing. I'm thinking about if I got overpaid, like let's say I'm 86 years old, I get a check that's overpaid. What the fuck can I do? Like, what can I do? Like, let's say
they expect you to hold that money.
And then I take the money out in a cashier's check, right? What can I do? Like, because you shut down all the different locations I could go to where I could give you the money. I don't, the online portal isn't working. Is there an online portal for repayment? Like, is there an online portal or a call that you can make to report the fact that you overpaid? They're making this extremely cumbersome on the most vulnerable Americans by design. by
Yeah,
design.
but they're also firing staff members that are literally the ones that are supposed to be making sure that the paychecks are correct. So when you understaff these offices and you have, like, for instance, there was when we were talking about the Social Security Administration, they want to cut 90% of the staff. They want 70 people to work in all these offices. That number used to be 7,000. They want to cut that number to 70 people who's going to be overseeing 69 million people who have benefits. So they want to create the system to be inoperable so nobody sends the money. And when they do send the money, there are mistakes that happen so that they can say it's fraud, waste, and abuse. And if they can make the case that it's fraud, waste, and abuse, they can cut everything fucking off and try to say that they justified it. That's what's going on.
It's by design, just like the concentration camps that we're seeing in El Salvador is by design. Just like we're seeing the apprehension of innocent people who are legally here in the United States being apprehended by force and sent to these concentration camps. If you haven't been following what's happening and kind of how some things went down today, Brian made an excellent video that talks about it. Take a look at this.
It just got real. This is Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, who went to El Salvador to see about Filmar Abrego Garcia. He went to talk to the president and vice president of El Salvador to see if they can release Abrego Garcia today and or just to see if he's alive. And he went in front of the cameras to talk to the press. And this is what the fuck happened.
Attorney General Ambani and the Vice President of the United States are lying when they say that Garcia has been charged with a crime or as part of MS-13. That is a lie. And this is a lie to cover up what they did. They illegally abducted Mr. Abrego Garcia and sent him to SICA, which is a notorious prison here in El Salvador. In fact, it's a prison where they say they send the worst of the worst, right? That's where they send the terrorists. Now, the courts of the United States have said there's no evidence to support the charge that he's part of MS-13. So I asked the Vice President whether El Salvador has any evidence that he's part of MS-13.
Okay.
And the government of El Salvador has no evidence that he was part of MS-13. El Salvador continuing to hold him in SICA. And his answer was that the Trump administration is paying El Salvador, the government of El Salvador, to keep him in SICA.
Which again, the U.S. is paying $6 million of taxpayer dollars for this prison, but it doesn't stop there.
Presented evidence to support the claim that he's committed any kind of criminal acts. And so why not release Abrego Garcia today?
Yeah.
And he said, President Biden said the other day at the White House that El Salvador can't smuggle Mr. Abrego Garcia into the United States. And he said, I'm not asking him to smuggle Mr. Abrego Garcia into the United States. I'm simply asking him to open the door of SICA and let this innocent man walk out.
Come on.
And I pointed out that the Attorney General of the United States, Ambani, has said the United States would send a plane to El Salvador.
Because why?
And why did she do that? Because
Right.
the Supreme Court of the United States, in a ruling of 9-0, to facilitate this return to the United States.
Here's where the shit gets worse.
So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit SICA. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of SICA. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia.
Come on.
He said he was not able to make that happen. I asked, he said he needed a little more time.
Mm.
I asked him if I came back next week whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone. Or just a phone and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report to him. Said if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone. So we have an unjust situation.
So you're telling me the president and vice president of El Salvador don't have the power to arrange a sit down between a senator and Abrego Garcia? Can't even get him on the phone? Hey, let me tell you something. I fear the worst has happened to Abrego Garcia. I fear that this man is no longer with us. I hope that I'm fucking wrong, but something ain't fucking right.
It's hard to even. This is really difficult for me to talk about. Like this is the worst fear, of everything that I knew Trump would do. This is the worst of the fears. You have children, teenagers, 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds being sent to this concentration camp, and it's the revelation of the inhumanity of many of my fellow Americans, of everything that is a Trump policy. His immigration approach it posed the highest. And it just confirms to me who we are as a nation and who my fellow Americans are. Because when I see those pictures, of shit like this dipshit, Like this fucking dipshit. This nobody first term incumbent asshole from West Virginia who goes down here and I'm thumbs up. And it's cheered and look at the pictures in the background. This is exactly what it looked like in Nazi Germany in the concentration camps. And the concentration camps were in Poland and all over. They weren't in, many of them weren't in Germany.
It's given Auschwitz.
What the fuck we're doing in America? Innocent people. It doesn't even matter to me if they may have been in gangs. Because the reality is every single human being deserves a level of humanity and due process under the fucking law. And that was stripped away from every single person the day that Donald Trump was inaugurated. And it could very well happen to any one of us at any given time.
Which was my fear November 5th, the night of the election. When I was sitting down next to you, Zach, in your house, in your kitchen table, and Pennsylvania was called, and we saw it through the decision desk come in, and Zach looked, and he was like, well, there it is. And I grabbed, Zach, tell me if I'm wrong. I grabbed your hand, and I said, And Zach was like, no, we got to tell him. We were on live. And Zach told the people, Pennsylvania was called, we knew that the election was over. And when we looked over to the screen, I looked at that TV and MSNBC had Trump headquarters on that screen. All the white people with the red MAGA hats in Trump headquarters cheering because they knew it was over. And all you can see was the picture of that stage. Dark, blue lighting, looked like a villain movie. And all I could think about at that moment was, now moving forward, and after January 20th, when this man gets elected and gets in there inaugurated, we have become enemies of the state. What will happen to us? And now we're seeing it slowly unravel. A lot of people still don't understand how dark this is because a lot of people say, well, I'm documented. It's fine. Oh, he was a criminal. Oh, he was MS-13. Well, first of all, this man had no criminal record. Second of all, this man was not a terrorist. And third of all, this man was somebody who they lied about. They went on the media.
Every day they keep saying lies about this man who is a father and a union worker from Baltimore, from Maryland.
And if it was somebody who was a legal resident and somebody who did not have a criminal record that they can just lie on and imprison for life in another country and then say, we can't do anything about it. Even when the Supreme Court stands in and says 9-0, facilitate his release and re-entry back to the United States. If that can't do anything, bitch, we all need to be paying attention to this case.
I mean, all of this stuff. I mean, it's one of those things. I do feel horrible for Garcia, but here's my thing. This was all laid out in a book called Project 2025. And for those who don't know anything about that and who thought this was just a hoax, all of this stuff was laid out. So we already knew this was going to happen. And for those who I also warned a couple of months ago saying that it doesn't matter if you're in a blue state or a red state. You think that you're safe in that little blue state. Maryland is true blue as it is. I'm talking about blue crabs, bitch. Blue, you're not safe anywhere under a Trump presidency. Don't take your vote for granted. Don't sit this one out because this might be the last one that we get. But nobody wanted to listen. And the way that they keep pushing this SAVE Act, and the way that they're coming after married women, trans women, anybody who changed their last name that doesn't match their birth certificate. Right. This is a problem. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's not going to pass the Senate. It's not going to pass the Senate. They can literally carve out the filibuster and pass that shit if they want to. This is what we were asking from Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema so that we could pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But they didn't want to do it. Those two.
Now you got Fetterman. You're always going to have those activated turncoats in the party who were put there as plants, I believe, to be activated when the time comes. John, I think, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to give into saying this is the case, but I think I'm not going to deny and say I think that it is. I think that's exactly what Brian said in the video. We are afraid that he's no longer alive. We're afraid that a lot of innocent people, 70% of the people that have been sent to this prison have no criminal records. 70%. 70% of the people that have been sent to this prison, we know have no criminal record. We know a number of them are here legally, pursuing a legal path to citizenship. They went through the right legal process to get here, and their lives are in extreme jeopardy if they haven't already been lost. But if that's the case, what could be done about it? Like what could be done about it?
I don't know.
And let me say this. Can I also add this? Abrego Garcia had political asylum because he came to this country after his family was being extorted by another gang called El Barrio 18 that was extorting his family. First, they wanted to kill his brother Caesar, and then the family then sent Caesar to the United States. Then the gang said, no, you're still going to give us this fucking rent money. You have another son, Abrego Garcia. And so they came back and they extorted, and they had to send his ass out. Abrego Garcia was here for years and got political asylum because the judge determined that his life was going to be in danger if he ever returned back to El Salvador. That's the true story. So a lot of these people in the comment section in my posts are these MAGA bots and trolls that are bought and paid for. Pretty sure it's probably fucking Russia and Elon Musk coming into my comment section because they're saying the same thing over and over. He was MS-13. He was MS-13. He was MS-13. He was not MS-13. They said that he was MS-13 because he had a Chicago Bulls hat. That doesn't mean that you're MS-13. And by the way, a lot of you bitches that are real people coming into the comment section, just parroting these talking points, y'all don't even know what MS-13 even is. Y'all just heard about it because Pam Bondi decided to say it one time on the fucking news. And by the way, when they round these people up, because I said this on my show yesterday, they're looking at where are you from? And when they see that you're from El Salvador, they'll say you're MS-13. But when they say that you're from Mexico, they'll say you're from the drug cartels. They're going to come up with anything they can to be able to dehumanize you racial profile, dehumanize you, and make you as an other so that in the American public's conscious, you can be justified for why you're getting the fuck up out of here. And if they can do that with enough people to make it normalized, when they start doing it to people that have no fucking affiliation with anything gang related, when they do it to people who are United States citizen, you can just say they were criminals on the mainstream media, on Fox News as many times as you can to justify it in the American public's mind. That's what's happening. And we were on a phone call where we talked to people who came from an authoritarian regime. Y'all remember talking to the fellas on this panel where they said there's only 2 times that you can fight an authoritarian regime. It's either at the beginning or at the end. At the beginning or the end. We're on the beginning. So we got to pay attention to what the fuck is going on. And let me just say this to the last point that I will say. A lot of people, and I've said this from the very beginning, I have no sympathy for the people, particularly the Latinos, for Trump, that voted for this bullshit. But the people that I do have sympathy for and empathy for are the people who didn't have the access to vote because they were not citizens. They didn't have the opportunity to vote and would not have voted for him if this were the case and are now being impacted. These people are potentially dying. A senator went over to El Salvador, was right there, talked to the president, the vice president, and they said, we can't arrange you to sit down with him. We can't even get you on the phone.
But
this man is probably gone.
Virginia see him. You let the dipshit from West Virginia go in and take pictures and all of this, but you won't let the Democratic senator go there to confirm.
Because he's a Republican.
That he's alive.
Because he's a Republican.
Like, it's literally what we're seeing is Nazi Germany happening right before our eyes. We are literally repeating history as we see it. But when people compared Donald Trump to Hitler, remember the news media said, no, that's dangerous.
I mean, yeah. And
they said, oh, that's dangerous. That you can't compare him to Hitler.
Never let the people forget. Listen, don't you ever forget, and don't you guys ever let the people forget how complicit the American media, specifically cable news, CNN and MSNBC, and print publications at the New York Times and the LA Times and the Washington Post, never let people forget how complicit they were and are in what is happening to America. They did not fight to maintain democracy. They did not fight to maintain democracy. They silenced their most powerful voices. People were fired, pushed out, quit. And those who remained, they bent the knee far in advance to the man being elected.
Yep.
And still are bending the knee, by the way. Still are bending the knee. Did you see the new report that came out? Trump said the only way we'll stop coming after CNN is if you give my son a show, and in which you pay the Trump family millions of dollars.
What son is this?
Don Jr.
The Coke report?
I probably be honest with you.
CNN, the Cocaine News Network?
That's what they say, right? That's right.
Give Elon like a small statement called ketamine.
That's right. But this is where we are. This is where we are. And by the way, the social media platforms don't fucking get off the hook either. I got banned off of TikTok Live yesterday because I was talking about this situation. And they said that it was because of hatred and hate speech. So don't fucking tell me that, you know what I'm saying, that it's just, you know, people think this is just a fucking walk in the park. When we say enemies of the state, we really mean enemies of the state.
I mean, I'm always be an enemy of the state. I'm black.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. You know, I was stolen illegally.
It's not
so
even summer. It's not even summer.
Yes, but it hasn't even been 90 days, y'all.
It's been literally not even a full 3 months.
Right. You know, I knew that it was going to be a hard show at this point. So I had to find something that would be a little lighthearted. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I just want you to know this is how I feel. Now,
I just paid my taxes. I just paid my taxes, though.
I paid mine early. Okay, look. Early bird gets the worm.
You fucking always do. Kenny is a Virgo, and he's type A about fucking everything. So Kenny was going to have his taxes done and handled far in advance because it wasn't going to be a long-term worry. It's a little pain. Then Brian bops his ass up and does his in February. All like, well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Fucking knew. I fucking knew how bad it would be. Okay?
Okay, Womblands.
My ass to the tax man to do shit. And I rolled up in there last night because I had to get it done. And it wasn't good news and it wasn't a good day. And it is what it is. But when I saw this, you know, because the damn phone, it definitely has its magic powers. It spies and all that shit. So when I left the tax man, who was an old loan, like a good friend of mine. We were friends for a long time. We got our doctorates together. I came home to scroll to feel better, and this came up. And I hope that it makes everyone feel a little bit better, too.
Bro, I just paid my taxes. So expensive.
I know, tell me about it. Oh, my God. What are you doing?
I'm your Republican congressman. I'm fundraising for re-election and servicing my sugar daddy and lowering his taxes.
You said you were going to lower our taxes, man.
Sorry, you didn't give me any money. Now, if you'll excuse me, Daddy paid for full service, and I'm always a good boy for it.
Bro, I just paid my tax.
Can I say, I do a pretty good job at making sure that I'm looking at everything that happens in the week of social. It is very few people that can shock me and surprise me. And every week so far, I've been surprised by a new episode, a new fucking video. That is crazy. I didn't see that.
You got an ace in the hole at all times, okay?
That's what a good producer do. A producer produces.
Well, who is that? Lincoln Project?
I don't know.
I don't know who. I got to figure out who sponsored that ad. They
do good work.
I was so shocked. I was laughing my ass. I was like, it made me feel better for paying them damn taxes.
Look,
because I know we're wrapping up. Can we end on a high note? Because I know that a lot of the people will always look for us. And you know, even on the day of the election, people were like, why do y'all not look like y'all smiling? Y'all are just looking very doom and gloom. I got to leave this live. And sometimes, you know, even that night, I said the same thing. I was like, sometimes we don't have any positivity to give you because we're going through it too. But here's the night where we can end on a positive note. So where is the silver lining for y'all?
Well, I saved money on my car insurance.
Bitch, wait, what the fuck? Listen, I just geared this motherfucker up. I'm like, we got some good news. And he gonna say, what's the pot?
What? No. There has to be some silver line. What do y'all have any silver lining?
You don't have it?
Well, Kenny was about to say something. Let's see what Kenny got to say.
I save money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. I'm just playing.
No,
but in other news, okay, so I mean, there's other things that's happening. I mean, we are winning a lot of things when it comes to Earth justice. I don't know if you guys know about that. We won a case against the Trump administration so he can stop the offshore drilling. He was trying to rescind a revision that was actually passed under Biden. So that was struck down in court. So we won that. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing, especially for our environment. And a lot of people think that we only care about, you know, ocean mammals and stuff like that, marine life, but it all affects us because we understand that when it comes to carbon emissions, it pollutes our air, which can cause respiratory and cardiovascular issues. And that leads to about 13% of U.S. deaths alone. So that's a big thing. So let's talk about that. Okay.
Well, I actually do. I have two good news things.
I got one too.
And I see we can. Let's make this a habit, Brian. Brian is extremely positive. He's a very optimistic, but I mean, even beyond optimism, I think he has positivity as a strength. I think it's one of his top 10 Gallup strengths. Positivity. He does a great job of staying positive and maintaining and framing things in a positive way. So, Brian, I think it's your job to make sure that we always end with positivity. I am very happy about and I don't like LaRoche because he's been mean to people, and I don't like bullies and people who can be mean to people. I'm pretty mean, but I'm only mean to mean people. Like I'm really mean to mean people. Really mean. But LaRoche used his expertise, and he did like a photo shoot for Vogue and GQ where he styled some models, some celebrities, and some really amazing Black designers. And so I love learning about people I don't know, and I learned a lot about Black designers and their art, their crafts, and what they're doing that I would have never learned about had I not seen this on social media. It's the May 2025 issue of Vogue and GQ where the photo shoot will come out, and it's really well done. It's breathtaking. It's really great to see. So I think that was really great news to highlight unknown Black designers. Love it. Happy to see it. And another piece of good news, it was really good news that was really like bigger news, good news. Oh, is this. Everyone needs to, and I had the opportunity earlier today to be on Roland Martin Unfiltered as one of his panel guests, and along with our good friend Political Sis. And so on the show, we interviewed Jason the representative from Memphis, Tennessee, or from Tennessee. And he talked about how they're trying to build the AI powered factory for Grok in Tennessee, right there in his congressional district, that in an area that is 97% Black. This, of course, is going to devalue the homes there. If the noise pollution is going to be out of control, but even worse, the actual air pollution. This factory that will power Grok, that will be there, that will be Elon Musk AI powered, whatever the thing that will come next will create more air pollution than the largest airport or the busiest airport in the nation. Okay, so that is what they're building here in his district in Tennessee. So I was happy to learn about it. I'm happy to learn that it hasn't started or hasn't been done yet, and we can still all fight against it and save the lives of the Black people and all people in this community. I think even though it's kind of a bad thing that's happening, we still have a chance to fight. And as long as we have a chance to fight, we can still win.
For the people in the comment section that don't know what Grok is the AI for Twitter, and it's Elon Musk. And Zach, I think that's a really great piece of content because I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. You're telling me. But I do have one that I did want to share. I saw this on Twitter where I saw Jasmine Crockett tweet it, and she said, finally, something, basically something that was good was happening. And I was like, oh, this is my time to shine, and put CeCe Peniston on if people don't know who CeCe Peniston is, that finally it is happening to me right in front of my face, and I just that song, because this new report that came in from AP, and I feel like I want to make some content about it. Judge finds probable cause to hold Trump administration in contempt for violating the deportation order. I just want to read a little bit of it because there was a lot of it that here. A federal judge on Wednesday said he has found probable cause to hold President Donald Trump's administration in criminal contempt of court for violating his orders to turn around planes carrying deportees to El Salvador. Because as you know, the planes left after the judge said, do not send the planes. U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg warned he could refer the matter for prosecution if the administration does not purge its contempt, basically remedy the fucking situation. So we're going to see more of this case. But a lot of people in the comment section like, oh, well, then what happens? Or do we get somebody in jail? They said criminal contempt. So this is the judges are trying to do something because the judge orders are being, they're not even being followed. I mean, you have it even from the Supreme Court. So we're going to keep following that case. And I may do some content about that. But people in the comment section, I guess, no.
I mean, but that opens it up. So when the Supreme Court ruled that he can do whatever the fuck he wants to under, as long as it's an official act, how does that work? How
he has to be able
to truly hold him accountable if he is immune?
So basically what happens is usually, I'm going to make this up, but an organization like the ACLU or a attorney general from one of the states comes in and they do a class action lawsuit. They get with different states and they will do that. But then through courts, the Trump administration has to come out and be able to defend how this was actually an official act in the presidency. If it wasn't an official act, and if it's not determined through the court to be an official act, he's not immune from that. He can only be immune from official acts. So we will have to see what that looks like. But it doesn't. They keep getting L's in these courts, and the judge that was, the lawyer that was on the case from the Department of Justice got put on administrative leave because they didn't like how he handled the El Salvador case.
So, and I think that's a good thing because it's only going to make it harder for them to retain talent. More people are going to be afraid if I lose, I'm out. When I'm actually defending cases that can't be defended, because what you're doing is illegal as fuck and it's against the Constitution and it's clear as day. So hopefully that's only going to hurt them further and they'll lose even more talent. And it'll be an ongoing revolving door. I'm waiting for the first Trump cabinet member to leave. Like this is, in his first term, he had massive fruit basket turnover. I'm just hoping and waiting to see who will be the first to fall. Last night, Brian did an amazing show. I'm going to finish watching the show tomorrow while I'm on the road for work. But if you haven't watched that show, you definitely want to go to his page, Mentally Divine, to see the show every Tuesday. Brian is live at 8 p.m. And again, it's a good show. Last night's show was so good that he's been banned from TikTok Live because Brian streams to both. He's streaming to TikTok to get them to come over and check his show out. And then he's streaming live right here on YouTube. The show was so good again, it got banned on TikTok. Kenny will start his live on Thursdays, we hope, after he returns from a wonderful vacation to an undisclosed location. He said give him until the middle of June, and he's with us. Until Kenny gives us his show, I'm giving you 6 episodes on Thursday night, starting at 9 o'clock, and it's called Down to the Dinner Party. Tomorrow night and for the next 6 Thursday nights, I'm committing to having dinner at my house, catered from a local black or brown restaurant or chef with some surprises, but with guests. And we're going to talk about non-political topics, some real life topics. This is coming about from a good friend of mine, DeAnthony, who really said that he really respects and admires the work that Kenny, Brian, and I do, and that we give a lot of young men a different perspective and a different way of seeing how to engage in the world when you are a member of the LGBTQI plus community and you're not necessarily talking about some of the things that, maybe in that community they're talking about. You're talking about other things, you're showing like a diversity of thought and diversity of opinion, which is common. That's what everyone does, but maybe it's not being talked about enough. So down to the dinner party, we're going to talk about some real life stuff that will be deep, that will be meaningful, that will also be fun because we'll be eating, we'll be drinking, and we'll be laughing. And tomorrow night, of course, I can't have a dinner party without inviting Brian Baez to be the very first guest there. I was not the first guest on his show, nor have I been invited to be on his show. But
nobody has been on my show.
It's an exclusive show.
Nobody's been on my show.
He's got one purple chair. It's not a purple couch, it's a chair.
Well, I'm going to have tomorrow 4 chairs, and my close friend Brian Baez will be there, as well as my friend AB, I Am Legally Hype, as well as Jay Malik, who is a cast member on my Monday night live stream. So can't wait. Hopefully, guys will join me. It'll be streamed only on the YouTube. And my hope here is to grow the YouTube to 10,000 followers by July 1.
Okay. Yeah. Doable.
I believe that dreams can come true, and you people can help it happen. And if it doesn't come true, then I failed. But so too have you. You failed me.
Great show tonight, y'all.
And thank you to all of our super chatters. We appreciate it. We love you. We love you. And guess what? We'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'll see many of you tomorrow.
Bye, you guys.